Okay, this is the finished product, nice and bubbly, a little crunchy on the top. We're gonna pull her out, let her set, and then I'll sauce it up. We're gonna sauce it after the pizza's out of the oven so it's not so runny. You could do it either way you want. Sauce it before it goes in or after it comes out. This seems to work a little better. You can taste the sauce a little better. And that's the finished product. So I'm gonna throw this in the oven. Let it set until we make the other pizza. So off to Michelle.
Hello everybody. Thank you for joining in our first Cooking with the Carters. It's Sunday afternoon and we were hoping to bring together our community in whatever you happen to be making this Sunday. We happen to be making pizza and we'll share our recipe and ingredients later, but we'll walk you through the steps today. Feel free to jump on and tell us what you're cooking today. In the kitchen with me is my husband Chris, who you heard talking earlier, and cameraman Jake. So, we're ready to start. We're going to make Detroit style pizza, and the reason it's called Detroit style is because of the baking dish. So we'll talk a little bit about the history in a little bit. But first we have to start off with the dough, which has a yeast. So if you were making this at home, you would start the dough so it would have 2 hours to rise. So we have everything measured, 2¼ cups of flour. And we're gonna do it in the food processor. If you watched our friends the Oak Farm family on Friday, they did it by hand. Very impressive. All right. So we have 2¼ cups of flour. We have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of dry yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar. Forgive the noise. We're gonna pulse that a couple of times to mix it up. And then we have a cup of lukewarm water that we're going to add bit by bit. What we want is to get all the dough happy. The dough is done because it starts to separate from the sides of the food processor. Big shout out to my pal Harper. Hi Harper. So what we would do at this point is put the dough in a lightly oiled bowl, and then we would move it into the oven. So my friend Erica helped me figure this out. We preheat our oven to 200, turn it off, and then we put our dough to rise in there. Our house is kind of full, so we have trouble with our dough rising. So here is a close-up of our risen dough. And now comes the fun part with the pan.
Okay, in the pan. This is pretty seasoned. We've had it for about maybe 2 years, but you're gonna need about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there for the dough.
So the reason you put the oil in here in the pan is to make the dough all happy. And
Well, it fries it in there too.
yeah, it fries it in there. So having this pan, that's the Detroit pan. So the guy who invented Detroit style pizza, Gus from Detroit, had a restaurant and he was looking for something to add to his restaurant menu so he would have a more robust menu. And he went about, and a friend gave him these blue steel type pans, and that's what gets the dough and the cheese and everything happy.
If your dough keeps springing back like this, just let it set a little while. It'll take, or it'll stretch rather. This is doing pretty good. You don't have to be perfect with the corners, but just so it's in here. That if any little pepperoni and cheese that gets in here, well, it'll be fine. Let me wash my hands real quick.
So what Chris likes to do is he likes to make everything more so. So he's going to add Italian seasoning to the dough. And then what you do with Detroit style is you build from there. So once he adds the seasoning, we're going to add brick cheese and pepperoni. So the pepperoni and the cheese we get from the deli, but we have the deli people slice it thick. This is about 3/4 of an inch thick. And then I'll cut it in chunks from here. And this is brick cheese. It has a high fat content and it's from Wisconsin.
Low moisture.
Yep.
You could do a blend of mozzarella and the brick, but you have to have something low moisture for this. The drier the better. And when I season the dough, if you're using oregano, don't get too crazy with it because the oregano kind of takes over. This one has, it's marjoram, garlic, basil, and oregano, sage. It's a blend, so it seems to work better. If you want to use oregano, that's good too. And then when we put the pepperoni and cheese on, I kind of like to do it in layers so everything can melt together and blend together. This is a little thin, but it's good. I told her on the deli gal a 2 on her slicer, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
You can also use other toppings. I like the pepperoni, but Chris likes to be adventurous, and he made one with sausage and the brick cheese.
Cook the sausage first so it's not real greasy because you got enough olive oil in there anyway, so.
And that was pretty good.
I'm gonna put some cheese on there. The thing about the cheese is you want to get it on the corners and the side, because this is going to be your crust when it melts. It's going to be, well, I'll show you on the other pizza when I pull that one back out, but so I'll do a couple pieces of these, go back to the pepperoni, put some over that. Yeah, this is too thin. And you could use a little round pepperonis too. We don't have those at the deli, but this is good. I like this deli style stuff, so it's all good. I think the littler ones are more greasier maybe. And you get those little nice grease cups everybody likes. But this is about the gist of it. We're gonna do some more, spread this open. And like I said about the sauce, you could sauce it before or after. If you put the sauce on it before you bake it, or while it's, before you bake it, the dough's a little more moisture, I guess. But this should be it. I'm gonna just throw a couple more on here, just to make life nice. Put this away, and then we're gonna throw this in the oven about 18 to 22 minutes, maybe, give or take, but 500 degrees, and make sure the oven's real warm on the bottom rack, so the dough cooks first. That's that, and then we'll pull this out, take a look at this again. But, this man could have got a little, you can see the cheese melted and made kind of the size, but that's about it.
So thanks for joining us today. You can see we're not very professional, but we do enjoy making pizza. And tell us what you've been cooking today. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.